So as the owner and the investor of the apartment, you can enjoy a hands-free investment. Anything goes wrong, it's dealt with. There's a professional management company on board providing a full range of services from maintaining, upkeep, embedding the correct tenants, whether they're short-term or long-term tenants.
Welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk. We're here at the our Istanbul office with Cameron Deggin. Cameron, welcome.
Hello.
Today, Cameron, we would like you to enlighten us with your wisdom. There is a term that's been floating about in the market for the past 7-8 years, I would say. It's called serviced apartments, right? It's a bit of a loose concept. It can mean anything that you want it to mean. Especially for marketers, for developers, anything can be a service department. But what is a service department for you, and how people can benefit from it?
Okay, thanks, Alaattin. In the generally accepted sense, a service department is an apartment which is furnished and fully managed and maintained in terms of rental collection, any issues, anything that may happen with the apartment. So as the owner and the investor of the apartment, you can enjoy a hands-free investment. Anything goes wrong, it's dealt with. There's a professional management company on board providing a full range of services from maintaining, upkeep, embedding the correct tenants, whether they're short-term or long-term tenants. So that's the concept of serviced apartments.
Can any asset, any apartment qualify as a service department, or does it have to be a certain management features within the compound itself? And if so, what are those features?
I think at the end of the day, any apartment, provided that it is managed by a third party, can qualify as a serviced apartment. However, when we say serviced apartments, we generally mean those developments that offer some sort of services, such as certainly security, car parking facilities, generally covered parking facilities, some sort of a like a recreational areas, like a gym, sauna, these types of things that people kind of that are nice to haves. But over and above these, the facilities provided by the development itself, the serviced apartment concept more so refers to the management facility provided to the landlords.
So you're talking about the reception service, the housekeeping, and the technical staff that is on the side 24/7.
Exactly.
To go in there and fix up whatever it needs to be fixed
exactly.
up.
Think of yourself as the landlord, that is the investor who actually purchases this particular apartment. And you sign a contract with the management company that provides the serviced apartment concept. Then in an ideal world, you should rest yourself assured that all the facets of management, including ad hoc issues that may arise, and they always arise, with your apartment would be handled and properly managed by this management company.
Right. These management companies, are they generally third-party companies, or are we talking about an on-site management company or a management organization by the developer? Because in most often than not, a lot of development sort of promise that these services are going to happen. But really and truly, when it comes to the delivery stage, most often than not, some developers, if they're promising 20 services, only 10 of them would get delivered.
Yes. Yes.
And in this sort of a situation, is it better that a developer provides these services, or is it better that a developer commissions a third-party management company to come on board and maintain
provide
the services?
In my experience, dedicated third-party management companies are more effective in providing these types of services. Developers generally want to build, sell, and walk away, because their core business is building. Their core business is building and selling.
Mm-hmm.
So they generally do not tend to be all that keen on providing an effective and efficient management.
Right.
So in my experience, third-party specialist management companies are a better way of providing this service.
Right. But that is not to say that there are some reputable developers out there who are good at both ends, right?
No, you're right. It doesn't mean that. But the most effective service department concepts that I have seen in Turkey are managed, and the service is provided by a third-party specialist company.
Okay. A bit of a detailed question this is. When we say service departments, the first thing you said, furnished apartments.
Yes.
When people are buying these apartments generally do not come furnished, do they?
Yes.
They would have very minimal machinery, such as the white goods, oven, stove, that type of stuff. The rest would, they need to buy the furniture.
They need to provide, yes.
When it comes
the
to
landlord needs to provide, yeah.
Right. When it comes to the furnitures, and what sort of a furniture should the landlord put in there, because it's going to be rented out? Is it going to be a fancy one or a low quality one? What is some of the deciding factors when it comes to a good furnished apartment that can yield good rental returns?
I'd say quality is important. Not so much the fanciness of it. So I'd say quality, minimalist, durable furniture is what's needed. And say you're talking about a development of 200, 300 apartments that will entirely be offered to market as serviced apartments. Generally speaking, you would expect to see a standard furniture pack that the owners could select from. And this furniture pack generally is provided by the company providing the serviced apartments concept.
Right.
In other words, the management company. They usually come on board providing this furniture pack because they would have the experience in terms of what type of furniture would go down best with the tenants.
Right.
And in terms of durability, in terms of the curb appeal, of the furniture, the usability of it. So if you're buying a serviced apartment, you can expect to be presented with maybe a choice of 1 to 3 different furniture packs that come as standard, and then you would select, say, type 1, type 2, or type 3. And there could be slight price differences between these types. However, they would generally be minimalist style, and the type that would appeal to most potential tenants.
Right. So I understand. In order for our clients and our audience to better understand or better orientate themselves as to how much would a typical furniture package would cost for a one-bedroom apartment, which has 50 square meters of a net living area, 85 square meters of a gross area, a minimalist, durable furnitures. How much would one expect to pay for these furnitures?
Let's say we're talking about a living room set,
Right.
A bedroom set, a TV, etc. Let's assume that the developer provides most of the white goods. So you're actually furnishing the apartment for what is not provided by the developer. And for a one-bedroom apartment, the cost is likely to be around $4,000.
Right. 4,000.
Decent
5,000,
quality.
3,000. Depends. Yeah.
Decent quality, nothing too fancy, or nothing that would appeal to only a certain taste. Something that is acceptable to most
Right.
tenants,
Right.
most potential tenants.
Let me ask you another question. Now, we will be exercising some of the functions of our straight talk right now. It is debunking some of the urban myths, or
Okay.
going beyond the marketing and talking about the straight talk. Now, when it comes to services within one specific development, these services such as the gym, the pool, the concierge, the this, the that, press the button that takes you to the moon and back and everything, generally tends to overinflate the price,
Yes.
right? Because there's a cost involved in them. The cost of the apartment, as the concrete, the iron, the land cost and everything, is one thing. And then there are these types of costs that are put on top, which inflates the prices. Does this service department concept work all the time? And when you look at the concepts, successful concepts that would work, what are those? And what are some of the, all bells and whistles, but when it comes to the capital appreciation side, you don't see nothing in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. The service department complex or concept really and truly has to be a value add element within the overall marketing package of the real estate. And it particularly applies to the type of real estate that is purchased as investment.
Right.
More hands-free, rather than the type of real estate that you would buy as a home. Because if you're buying a home, you don't necessarily want a serviced apartment concept, because it's your home. Right. You're going to live in it. But if you're buying something with a view to extracting the maximum return on investment, whether it is value growth, that is capital appreciation, or strong and stable rental income, then having in place a solid management company that indeed provides the serviced apartment concept is a massive value add.
Yeah.
Why? Because in the long run, 5 years, 10 years down the line, for the investor, that is the property owner, the value of your property will appreciate to the tune of how well the overall complex is maintained.
Right.
Not just how well your unit is upkept, no, or maintained, but the overall concept, from the landscape to the common areas, to its reception, to its valet service if there is, to the car parks, everything that makes living more pleasurable, everything that keeps the place new and tidy. So the better these places are serviced, the better the overall development is serviced, then the more value you can expect to extract or grow within your own unit within that complex. So in that regard, most often ignored, yet one of the most important factors for price growth is indeed the facilities management. Mm-hmm. So if we can somehow tie the facilities management of a complex to the same company that provides the serviced apartments concept, then in my experience, that will add the maximum value to the overall development and to your own unit within that development. Does that kind of answer your question, or?
It kind of answers the first part of my question, which is when it makes sense. Let's talk about what our clients should be aware of, because not every packaged product out there is what it delivers. Actually, there's so much marketing out there. There's so much bells and whistles, as you can call them, sitting ducks.
Yes.
That are out there. The price is generally overinflated because of these services and etc. What are, can you, if you are to draw a line between service department complexes that works and the service department complexes that stay at just the marketing level, what would that line be?
Okay, I think I will answer your question in a slightly different way.
Okay.
I wouldn't like to say that this works and this doesn't, but what I would like to say is I'd like to look at the symptoms and try and get back from the symptoms to the illness itself. In my experience, where you are confronted with a proposition that offers you guaranteed rental income of 8%, 10% per annum, and tries to tie that guaranteed rental income to some sort of management being on board that will provide that rental income, in my experience, 9 out of 10 times, that will be a failure.
Right.
Because, again, like we covered in many of our straight talks before, guaranteed rental income is most often than not a cashback. In other words, you're paying for that income up front. Mm-hmm. And if that is the concept that is in place, unfortunately, you can expect that management company not to provide the best of services that they should be providing. They are kind of relying on the appeal that they have already put in place for the would-be buyers to come on board for that guaranteed rental income.
Right.
And the way they would provide for that guaranteed rental income, rather than sticking their neck out and saying, we will manage this place, we will do a very good job of it, and hence we will attract tenants who will be willing to pay a premium because of how well the place is managed and maintained. Rather than doing that and having that mindset, their mindset is, well, we somehow managed to get the buyers to pay up front for the rent that they will receive in the forthcoming 3 years. So, you know what? We don't really have to manage the place that well after all, because they have paid for it up front anyway. Now, from the buyer's perspective, most often this is a false economy, because not only the rent that they're receiving over the next 3 to 4 years, they're paying for most of it up front themselves, it's a cashback, but also the fact that the management company does not really intend to do a perfect management effort, to put in that effort. They're relying on that upfront cashback. What happens over the next 5 years or so is the place isn't all that well managed. So what that does is that depresses your value growth.
Right.
So your capital appreciation isn't as high as it could be because of the lack of strategic management of the complex. So in my experience, again, a professional management company that comes on board with full intent to provide the level of management
Because that's their business. That's how
that
they
we
get
expect,
their reputation.
which is their business and reputation. These types of companies generally do not offer guaranteed rental income.
Right.
They would give you a projection as to what level the rental income is likely to be. And if they're good at what they do, their projections would be, give or take, with a small margin of error, quite accurate. But they're not going to give you guaranteed rental income.
Got it.
So again, like I always say, if you hear the expression guaranteed rental income, be very, very suspicious. Because that isn't the trait of solid management companies. They know better.
Cameron Deggin, thank you very much.
No worries.
I think it was a clear cut on
Brief,
service departments.
But
Brief.
hopefully informative.
Right. Guys, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can comment them down below. I read those questions myself personally, and then we can bring them onto this table and discuss. And with this WhatsApp number, you can always reach us. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.